Hi guys, today we will repot this beauty together. This one is the Rhynchostylis gigantea. I do have a care tutorial about this plant that I will link it down below. But as I told you in the first video, I've bought this plant for maybe over a year now. And believe it or not, I've never repotted. I basically neglected. When I bought this plant, it was in bloom, and the blooms are so beautiful, and I found it in a local garden center, and I decided the blooms fade and go away. The year went by. When I thought about this plant again, it was producing more buds, so I said I cannot repot it now, so I will wait a little bit more. Now the buds, all the flowers are gone, they are spent. My plant is growing a new leaf up here. And I can see that the plant really needs to be repotted because this medium is very old. It's potted in charcoal. I don't have any experience with charcoal. Do you have any experience growing your orchids in charcoal? How did they progress? It was good for your orchid. Charcoal is a medium that it's used to pot epiphyte orchids because it does provide air to the root system, and that's vital for these roots to grow healthily. However, I have no idea how my orchids would do with charcoal comparing to the material that I use. I may do some experiments later this year, who knows. But what I can tell you is I have this for here, it's growing here. But vandaceous orchids, they are very tough, so which helps. These roots, they are doing well in here, but I need to soak them every time that I water this plant. It's the same thing with bark. I need something that I can just pour some water on top and let it be. That's what I'm gonna do. That's why I need to repot these plants. I have all of my vandas potted. I don't have any bare-rooted vanda because I live in a flat and there is no way for me to keep soaking the root system, so all of them are potted. However, that's the only Rhynchostylis that I have. I have never repotted one. And that's what I'm gonna do today, and we'll talk a little bit while I repot this plant. If that's the type of content that you would love to hear more or learn a little bit with me, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below. I'd love to have you here. And let's start. I'm super curious to see what we have inside this pot. So just before I started this video, what I noticed with Rhynchostylis is that their roots are very thick. I think with bigger vandas, their roots, for me, they remind me of Phalaenopsis roots, but larger. This one's a little bit different. I think it's thicker. The roots are not all healthy in here, so we'll check them together. Before I repotted this plant, I also left it in water soaking for 15 minutes, so the roots would be a little bit easier, flexible for me to work on them. Something else that I did was sterilize everything. So this pot had been used before. So I soaked it with bleach, and also I cleaned my scissors with bleach as well. I don't want to share pathogens between these plants and other plants that I've may use these scissors with before. So I don't have alcohol, but I have bleach at home, so that's how I cleaned everything. It's very important for you to sterilize whatever you're using, especially because that's a different orchid from the ones that I had in here before. Maybe I had some fungi or some pests in here, and I don't want to transfer pathogens between them. So the first thing that you have to do before you start repotting the plant is remove it for this old medium. Most of Foundation's orchids, they will come to you. That's the first time that I buy one that's potted in charcoal. Usually they come hanging in baskets. But I think with Rhynchostylis, they do a little bit better potted than the bigger vandas and other vandaceous orchids. So maybe that's the reason why this one is in charcoal. I noticed that it's a very easy to look after plant. It never had thrips. It has never looked very stressed, although the medium is very old and I'm not fertilizing it properly. So it says a lot about this plant. I don't think it's a difficult plant to look after, and it's more compact and smaller than some vandas. So if you want to try one of them, go for it. The flowers are beautiful. They produce a type of inflorescence that people think reminds them of a foxtail. That's why it's known as the foxtail orchids. They are also fragrant, not the most amazing fragrance in the world, but they are fragrant. So let's unpot this one. I don't think it's going to be difficult. I don't think they are extremely attached to this pot. So the first thing that I do is always squeeze the pot a little bit to detach all of the roots from the plastic pot. And maybe we won't break many roots. I think it's going to be very easy to unpot it. Sorry about the noise. Yeah, no problem at all. So I have one root that's attached to the bottom. Oh, to break a little bit. Let's see this one. Yeah, all good. So the charcoal attached to the root system similarly are bark chips. If you have experience with bark, that's what bark does to the root. It attaches the surface of the bark attached to the root. So what you have to do here is the same thing that I do with all of my orchids, and I believe you do as well. I'm gonna remove all the medium that I can from these roots, all the medium that is attached to the root system. Some pieces are very, very attached. It is easier than bark. It detaches easier. With bark, you have to be careful because sometimes it can remove the external part development of the root system and may break your root. I'm finding charcoal easier. It detaches easier than bark in this sense. It's an advantage. So I hope with this plant being in the new pot with a fresh medium and proper fertilizer, it may produce more flowers this year towards the end of the year. Who knows? Apparently, these one they grow better under growing lights, but most of my vandas are under growing lights, and they've always bloomed for me under growing lights. I don't have other option for them. If they suddenly give up on flowering, blooming, and growing properly under growing lights, they will have to go because the window that I have here behind me offers quite bright light, but vandas are very big, so I don't have space to hang them around there. And I'm selecting the space for my cattleyas that I find a little bit more difficult. They have been finicker for me than vandas, so that's why they are there. This one is one of the ones that are hanging at the moment. I tend to change their location. Let's see what will happen to this one. I may place it under the growing lights and one of the big oncidiums maybe hang it because, oh gosh, they fill the space. So I will speed up the video now. I'll finish removing everything. After I remove all of this old medium, I'm gonna go to the sink and I'm gonna wash this root system and clean up everything. Ta-da! My orchid is all clean, my orchid roots. I removed as much charcoal as I could. So what is there, I won't keep trying to pull it and then maybe breaking some of the roots. There is no reason for me to do that. So the next step is to check the root system to see which root is alive and which isn't. What I can see here is that someone cut one of the aerial roots. There are people that think these roots, they are strange, or they don't understand why the roots are growing out of the pot and they simply cut the roots of their orchids. I've seen that before. Don't do that. If you have an epiphyte orchids, it's normal for the roots to go out in the air, so don't cut the aerial roots. They are very important for your plant. So what you have to do now is just check, so you can gently press to see if the roots is alive or not. These roots, they are quite thick, so it doesn't come out very easily. The out part of the root. So this one is completely dead, but it's still firm, so it's not very mushy. What I can see is towards the center of my orchid here, very dark, as you can see, but it is alive. It keeps branching out. Look, it's branching out. Everything is branching out. So there is no reason for me to cut any of these roots, all of them. That you're gonna see that they are all firm. I'm quite impressed how well this orchid performed in so harsh conditions, because I didn't look after it properly, I must say now. So this is the segment, the part that is not amazingly healthy. What I have here, I have a pot that is 30 centimeters. I have no idea how many inches that is, but I will write it down below. I think it will fit my orchid, hopefully, because I didn't find a bigger pot. And in my weather, since I live in a cold place, I think this is perfect. I don't want to place everything inside the pot. Anyway, these were aerial roots, and these ones were growing inside the pot, so that's what I'm gonna do. It fits perfectly. I'm gonna use bark and sphagnum moss as always. The only thing that I'm gonna say here is this one is an epiphyte orchid, and it produces pretty thick roots that are adapted to dry conditions, so I will use less moss and more bark. Okay, there we go. I will place a little layer of moss on the bottom, hey, like so. There, yeah. And then let's fit my vanda here. Great. And I will keep adding bark all along. Something that I forgot to say is it's good to have the strands of moss to communicate with the strands on the bottom, so they can direct all of the water that's left on the pot toward up in the orchid. But that's not what I forgot to say. I'm sorry, I am going all around today. It's been a while that I have been in front of the camera. I didn't spray hydrogen peroxide on this plant because this orchid doesn't have any snail or bush snail or any pest on its pot. I have it for more than a year, as you know, I said in the beginning. So I know that this orchid doesn't have anything. Usually, I've never experienced any of this type of pests in vandas, but because most of them, they come potted in baskets, so not potted near any type of median where the bush snails would grow. So maybe that's the reason, I don't know. But I know that these roots, they don't have any pests because I have them for a very, very long time. Enough for me to know that they are safe and I don't need to disturb them more than I've already disturbed it with anything. So I'm not gonna add any hydrogen peroxide. And also I will save for plants that actually need them. I still have my Miltoniopsis and my Nellialer that I bought in France to repot, and I will repot here at some point. The thing is, because I had these windows behind me where the light is coming from, they were being fixed. I couldn't do anything in here. And when I put all my plants back, clean up everything, and when I came back to the living room, I noticed that both of them were pushing flower spikes. So I didn't know they had space to rebloom again. So basically now I have my Miltoniopsis and my Nellialer. The Nellialer opened its flowers already. It's a beautiful tone of red. And my Miltoniopsis have not yet bloomed, but the buds are growing. So I will have some blooms soon. That's the reason why I have not repotted these plants yet, but I will at some point. I have, now that it's spring and it's been 2 years that some of my plants were potted in their pots. Some of them needs to be repotted immediately. I cannot repot all of them with you because it will become very repetitive at some point. Some of them are just normal phalaenopsis with nothing special for me to show you. But I think I have a few interesting things. And whenever it's possible, I will repot them here. But I do have a few plants to repot. Also, I have a Hoya that I brought from France. I have not repotted yet. I need to do that as well. So I placed the last layer of moss. I told you that I wouldn't place lots of moss in here. Also, it's full of air gaps on this pot. I don't mind. This plant used to it. It's not used to be soggy and pressed in any sort of medium. So the air pocket is fine. My weather is not very hot. I will place some slow release fertilizer. This plant, it is a heavy feeder. Also, I forget to fertilize it from time to time. So I do believe it helps my plants to grow. That's what I'm doing here, placing some beads. I think it will be very happy to be finally properly potted and fertilized. I hope it will grow better now. The roots are extremely thick. And that's what I'm gonna do, just play the last layer of bark. Hopefully next year each will push out a beautiful show. They are cute tiny flowers that when they all open together, it's a really nice beautiful pendant flower spike. I really like how it looks like. And I think it's different from the other vandas, and it's different from most of my orchids actually. So it's one of that ones that I really enjoy, and I intend to keep for very long time. I think each will be in this pot for a while. I noticed that the other pot was smaller and this plant grows slowly. That's what I noticed. The roots, they don't grow very fast. The leaves, they don't grow very fast. So it's the kind of plant that can stay in one pot for a long time, because I don't think it will take out the pot like that. Let me clean up the table and let's conclude this video. So this is my beautiful Rhynchostylis gigantea, finally repotted after a long time. As you could see, the roots were all good. So the medium that it was before was providing air, and since I was soaking it, every time I noticed the roots were dry, it didn't matter. It was growing healthily and nicely. As I said, they are tough plants, and I neglected, but not exactly neglecting like not watering and just forgetting about it. I just neglected in the sense that I didn't repot it straight away. I just let it be. I didn't treat it with anything special. That is fine. Some plants, they are tougher than others, and there are some of them that we need to repot straight away when we notice there are pests in the pot or the plants are very stressed. But when it's something like that the plant is healthy, is growing healthily, and there is no rush if you don't have time to do so. So I finally got to it, and I'm giving it this beautiful pot. I do believe this pot came with another plant. I don't remember which one. But yes, I hope it will grow nicely now, and even nicer than it was growing before, because I love the flowers of these plants. Do you have a Rhynchostylis? Which color is yours? I know that there is a variety and multitude of colors. I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below. Subscribe to my channel, helps this community to grow. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at 1 orchid a day in there as well. And I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.